As I was praying for wisdom in relation to the way the world works, a principle came to me. I know it was given by the Lord. Jesus Christ was God. He is God. And if He is God, therefore, any statement that He made without qualification in terms of the time or the place of the recipient could be considered as a fundamental principle, like the law of gravity. And so I began to read the Bible with that in mind, and I came across several very important things that to me were like laws, like the law of gravity and thermodynamics. It was so simple. Whosoever will, when you see things that are not limited to the recipient, I mean, if He says to a little child, you're going to be a pride to your parents, that isn't a fundamental law for everybody. But when He speaks out broadly, where there's no clarification, no qualification, it becomes a universal principle. And once I found them, I put them in a book, and the book has been very successful and has touched a lot of lives. The next law I want to talk about is where Jesus said a principle that we all know. We've heard it many, many times. It's a law that we find in physics that is the law of reciprocity. The reason we can get a rocket to the moon is that we have exhaust, blast, behind the rocket, which propels it upward. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So that is the law under which we operate jet aircraft. A jet is a turbine that sucks air in one side, blows it out the other, and propels the airplane forward. It's just that simple. So there is a law. For example, if you push a gate hard and it's on a hinge, it'll come back and smack you. You know, if you push it that way, it'll come back. Law of reciprocity. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Well, Jesus gave us this in terms of giving. He said, give, and it'll be given unto you, pressed down, good measure, running over, will men heap into your bosom. You take what you have, give it, and that starts something coming back to you. It's a law of reciprocity, but it goes beyond that, much beyond it. If you go out in the street and you walk down a street at any city, and as you pass people, you smile at them and you say, good morning, they will smile back. And they might not want to say good morning. They may think you're crazy, but they'll say, oh, yeah, good morning. You watch it. If you give kindness to somebody, you will get kindness back. If you're merciful to somebody, you'll get merciful back. Whatever you meet will be meted back to you again. That is a fundamental law of reciprocity. And just think what it would be like if in our society we had this principle. Jesus said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We used to call that the golden rule. But why? You do to them as you want them to do to you. You love them, they love you. You're kind to them, they're kind to you. It just works that way. It's the way that the universe is wired. It's the way it's set up. But think what it would be if we as nations put this law into effect. If I'm upstream from somebody, I won't pollute the water that comes out of my place. I won't discharge sewer into the river that's going to flow down to this other man's property, because I wouldn't want somebody doing it to me. I will do to him what I want him to do to me. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. It's so simple. If I wouldn't want to be exploited as a worker, I as a owner or employer shouldn't exploit the workers that are given to me. If I wouldn't want to be placed in abject poverty and work like a dog day and night, I wouldn't want somebody doing that to me, and I wouldn't do it to them. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. The law of reciprocity. Whatever you mete out will be meted back to you again. And this is certainly true in business. If you give good service, you'll get good service. If you give loyalty, you'll get loyalty. If you give love, you'll get love. You just name it. Whatever virtue you'd like to have displayed in your life and the life of your family, if you give that to them, and if you have children, for example, if you treat them fairly and you teach them fairness, then they will come back to you with fairness, and they will treat their siblings with fairness because you've trained them that way. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. The law of reciprocity, it absolutely works. The law of use is the fundamental law of human growth and development. It's the fundamental law of church growth, business growth, labor union growth, political party growth, educational growth, you name it. That is the foundational law of human growth and development. On the other hand, the law of reciprocity is the foundational growth of societal development. Just think of the wars we've had. You think of World War II. Why did we have World War II? Because you had a monster in Germany who said, I need what he called Lebensraum. I need living space. And I'm going to take the space that belongs to the Poles or the Czechs and give it to my people. I want their land. And he plunged us into a hideous war that cost 50 million lives because he didn't follow this simple law. And I think that in today's world, one group wants to get the advantage of the other group, and so they're going to, quote, stick it to them. We're going to take advantage of them. We're going to take away the seats in Congress. We're going to take away their committee chairmanships. We're going to keep them from having judges on the courts. You name it. But that's the attitude we have in Washington. And so there's an attitude of rancor and bitterness always. But if we had the principles of the kingdom, the law of reciprocity, where we were doing to them as we wanted them to do to us, think what a nice world we'd live in. We wouldn't have any wars. We wouldn't have crime. We wouldn't have oppression of one race by another. You can go right down the line of what a beautiful world it would be if we just did that one thing. So to have an ordered society, the law of reciprocity is the secret. Well, we're going to have more after this. Thank you.